Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Pisces energy, and like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I'll refer to as high vibe Pisces energy, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy. We've all got our dualistic nature of free will. We have to make decisions in our life, and some people could want to live their life differently, but the bottom row can just represent we kind of want to stay in our comfort zone, because to move forward in life differently can be a little scary. And so some people then work through the bottom row can represent your shadow nature of your fears and your insecurities and your past pain and heartbreak and your self-limiting beliefs. And that's how we move forward. We work through those things that manipulate us. And the bottom row can represent those things that manipulate us. But, you have to be inspired to want to even work through those things or even see the truth of them. And some people aren't even aware of what manipulates them. Pisces energy can talk about things that are kind of buried in our subconscious. And, we don't know why we make the decisions we make, why we're attracted to certain people. And we go on this journey of life to figure it out. And then there's some people who don't want to see the truth. You can make the free will choice to keep operating from your ego. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to deal with it. It's there. It happened. And then they have this illusion that they can just not deal with it and everything will turn out okay. But, if we have these issues that kind of manipulate us, they're going to keep manipulating us. Some people, shadowy Pisces can be people who want to go indulge in something to feel better. Drugs, booze, relationships, gambling, sex, money, ego. And think that's going to be the answer, that'll take away the issue. But only the truth takes away the issue. And Pisces can be people who want to live in illusion. And high vibe people want to be independent of things that manipulate them. So this might be something particular that could be going on in Pisces energy. So it could more affect people who are a Pisces sun sign or people that have significant Pisces placements. But we all tap into Pisces energy because it's part of our emotional nature of kind of how we view the world. If we are kind of like to live in fantasy land of kind of more immaturity, caught up in the illusion of the world, or if we've kind of worked through some issues and kind of grown up and matured ourselves some because we have some dreams that we want to have come into reality, and we realized if we didn't deal with the truth, we were going to keep repeating an old pattern over and over and go nowhere. So let's go look at the top row first. So, it's kind of interesting. In the bottom row, we have the unlocking card, which is a masculine figure. In the top row, we have the main female, which is a feminine figure. And the masculine figures can represent how people are presenting themselves in the world and action that they're taking. High vibe people have figured out the truth, and they are taking action on the truth. And the truth is, one, we have to be balanced within ourselves, that if we're going to go present ourselves in the world in a certain way, that should be the truth of who we are. And we should be working to be authentically ourselves in the world instead of hiding the truth of who we are. And then we're kind of living a life of illusion, which is shadowy Pisces energy. High vibe people have realized that, and the truth is the feminine figures in tarot can represent how we think and feel. So it doesn't matter if this is males or females. The high vibe people have figured out the truth that, in the emotional realm and the creative, intuitive, inspired realm versus a more shadowy masculine energy can just represent that we're more aligned with our more worldly egoic nature, whether we're male or female. We were meant, I think, to be more balanced. We have this creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature. We have our more worldly, egoic nature. It's learning to work, kind of love both aspects of ourselves. And we were given our emotionally intuitive, creative, inspired nature as a gift to help us take action in the world to manifest our dreams into reality. And Pisces is about manifesting our dreams into reality. So, high vibe people, and also if you're connected in with your emotions and your intuition and your more loving nature, you're probably going to have a much more fulfilling life than the people who are operating, male or female, a little bit more from their worldly egoic nature, that think they don't have to do love or they don't have to be more connected in with their emotions. We're emotionally complex human beings, and some people want to keep them buried beneath the surface because they're confusing, right? I don't even want to invest in them as little as possible. I think more egoic energy could be, I could think I'm smart. Well, pride comes before the fall, right? And I don't think I have to do that. I don't think I have to listen to my intuition. I don't think I have to do love. I think I can operate from my defensive egoic nature, and I think I'm so smart that maybe I can use my emotions and my sexuality and my looks and my charm and my resources and my money or whatever I got to just manipulate people to get them to do what I want. And they still got some lessons to learn in life. So, in the top row, there's people in the world that are like scam artists, whether they're male or female. They use their intuition in a more shadowy way. And this is also the reason why the high vibe people's reading came out. Everybody can present themselves as, I am the answer. You should hire me. You should date me. You should marry me. You should be my friend. I am the answer to your problems. We all could have been in more codependent energy. But anybody can present themselves as a stable, grounded, emotionally balanced, loving, nurturing person. And in a lot of ways, they can seem to be that type of person. And they could have been that type of person to you. But a more shadowy way of being is that there's an ulterior purpose to it. It's not because I'm a loving person and I love you. It's for how they can benefit. Yes, we all want stable, grounded, just, fair, balanced, loving relationships. But some people are just looking for someone like that to be in a relationship with because it's nice to be in a relationship with someone like that. And if we get along well enough, I'll stay in a relationship with you. Is it good for my ego and my image and my status? Okay, then I'll stay in a relationship with you. But it's not because they're motivated and inspired by love. And we all have to learn lessons in life about listening to our intuition. Because how many times did we go get involved in some things thinking, oh no, I can change them. I can make them choose love. I will make them grow up. I will make them mature themselves. And that's kind of us being in our ego, thinking we can change people. We need to see the truth. Everyone has the key. If they want to choose to be aligned with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature, that would be the type of person they are. If they are already choosing to be a more immature, prideful, egotistical, defensive, fearful, codependent type person, that is where they're at. And we need to deal with the truth of it. But we all kind of thought we were the boss and that we could change people. And we should offer love and encouragement to people. And when we see that they're not, got some issues they need to deal with, not very maybe balanced, very just or fair, very loving and nurturing, authentically, that we wish them peace and love. Can we be a loving, supportive person in their life? Sure. Am I going to get in a more involved relationship with you? No. But we've all got lessons to learn about that. Some people have learned those lessons. We start out with the thoughts card, the false person, routine, and the thief card. We can all find ourselves in situations, at any time in our life, at any phase of life, we do have to pause. And the thoughts card, someone's thinking. And I view the thought card as like the King of Swords, Libra energy. We need to think about what we think is just and fair. We all get in situations in our life, and periodically we need to consider how things are going. Maybe even look at ourselves. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What's kind of more driving and motivating me right now? What kind of dictates the decisions I make in my life? What about the people who are my friends or my family members or my romantic interest or people at work? And we can always have people in our life who could harness this energy in a more shadowy way, that use their intuition in a shadowy way. It could even be if they know you're a just and fair, you are who you say you are, and you are a high vibe, loving person, they try to use your loving nature to manipulate you. So at any time in our life, we can have some people who are false people. It's kind of like going through the motions, kind of to get what they want. The Thief card, of course, reminds me of the Seven of Swords card, which is Aquarius energy. The Routine card could kind of be an earth sign energy of Capricorn and Virgo and Taurus. And the false person is that some people are trying to confuse us about the truth, about why they do what they do. And they might want us to work with them. And shadowy Aquarius, that anyone can harness, can be that it's more about them, how it benefits them. But it's really not their truth. They're not really aligned with being more just and fair and authentic and loving. But, they'll put on a show in order for it to work out the way that they want. It could be that people are more caught up in the world, the ego, the image, the status, not really love. And the whole thing is, are we going to listen to our intuition? Who are the people in our life who, right now, that we think aren't who they say they are? Are we willing to listen to our intuition? Because the shadowy people in the world are probably trying to present themselves, whether they're male or female. I don't know why, but I was kind of viewing this kind of like a Leo energy, but also kind of like a Virgo energy. And in our more worldly egoic nature, our long-term goal in kind of Leo and Virgo energy that we can all harness is that we could be more about wanting to be in a relationship or be in a job because of how we benefit from it, and things that you enjoy about being in friendships and relationships. But it can be more about having a certain status and image or money. And there could be some shadowy people right now in the world that are trying to figure out, who they think they can manipulate to get to move forward with them. And if they're in relationships with people, but the people they're in a relationship with are kind of starting to work through some of the illusion, Again, people can present themselves as being these certain type of people, but then as time goes by and we get to know them better, we could kind of get more of a sense of kind of what drives and motivates them. And right now, some people that are trying to manipulate someone, if they think they have someone they can manipulate, they're going to keep doing what they're doing and hoping that it'll work. If they have someone in their life who they don't think they can manipulate, they might be turning their back to those people. And then, when you're in a relationship, you high vibe Leo and Virgo and King of Swords, Libra. If you were a high vibe person, you would be communicating your truth. You'd be putting in work and effort. You'd be loving, nurturing, and supportive. And sometimes people will do that. And then, in an attempt to try to control people, then they'll kind of quit being more loving and encouraging and supportive as a tactic That's living more from your mind than your heart. I had the free will to be loving and encouraging and supportive, but I'm trying to figure out if I can manipulate this person or not. So I am going to kind of turn my back to them. And I'm kind of being operating from my ego, is what the false person can be and mean. And I'm wondering how long it'll take when this person's kind of putting in work and effort. High vibe Aquarius can be trying to bring a dream into reality. So again, sometimes we're in mismatched relationships where someone has seen the truth of their more immature, shadowy nature. They've put in the work and effort to free themselves. And some people are more tipped into having hope and faith and belief and love, and that's their natural kind of state of being. Other people are just trying to pretend they're those kind of people, but they really do try to manipulate and control people to get to do what they want. And they could be trying to do that right now with someone in their life to see if the person in their life is more stable and confident and like loving to themselves to stand up for their truth, harness high vibe Libra energy, or if it'll kind of get them up in their head and being concerned, like, well, I want this dream to come into reality, but I might feel like that dream can't come into reality, if you're not working together with me. And then they're kind of hoping that they can trap a loving person in a workplace friendship or relationship with them. So it's kind of like people trying to see how much they can get away with, in a way. That's why it's best sometimes, we think, oh, I don't want to say something, maybe a hoopla. It's going to cause a hoopla sooner or later anyway. Would you rather deal with it now or next week, next month, 10 years from now? And that's kind of this life experience that some people have gone through where it was all to get them to stand up for their truth, where before, well, no, maybe in my high vibe Leo Virgo energy and Pisces, I'll put a lot of work and effort to be loving and nurturing, and I'm sure they'll come along with me in that way. But you have to realize that if people were motivated to be that type of person, they would easily flow with you in that type of energy. And when they're not, that is a red flag. What the hell is going on? What's up? And again, if people are like, if you think they're being deceptive or manipulative, and it's like, oh shit, oh, okay, I got to get back on path. Yeah, you got to get back on path or you can leave. What the hell's going on? Do I want to be in relationships or I'm repeating an old relationship pattern where people are maybe being, needless, with two cards that can talk about deception. And Pisces is also represented by the moon card, which can be where people are trying to confuse you about the truth, don't want to reveal a truth, have some fears or insecurities that they don't want to deal with or don't want to tell you about. And it's like, it's all going to come out in the wash either now or later. So if you're not willing to tell me now, what would make you more willing after 10 years to tell me when all this other shit has gone on in the meantime? So that's where it can bite us in the ass. And was I that kind of person? No. Would I be that type of person now? Yes. Because the whole thing is, if you have learned through this life experience, and we'll talk about the shadow nature here in a little bit, to stand up for yourself, and if you are someone who is loving and encouraging and supportive and treats people the way you like to be treated, motivated and inspired by love, and you've been that way in relationships and you've had all these people in your life, different people, some people are still in your life, still working with you, and you meet new people all the time that are kind of on the same page, but other people in your life have been more, tried to take advantage of your more loving nature to use it, as like It's kind of like, what would it be like with Superman and Kryptonite? You can be a very loving person and people can try to use that. I mean, at the big picture in a world of duality, I don't think you have to be religious, but we do have free will. We can either be our more shadowy nature or more loving nature. But at the big picture, we kind of refer to it as God and the devil. And we have the free will to choose which one we align with. And some people, because of life experiences they went through or just their natural kind of free will way of being in the world, they don't really value, they could just think they're more emotionally and loving nature. All it can do is get them hurt. People are manipulative and deceptive. People are hurtful and kind. And somewhere along the road, they decided, people who believe in love, they live in fantasy land. And there's going to be people who are going to manipulate and use them. I've been manipulated and used. I'm not going to be manipulated and used anymore. I'm going to be one of the people who goes and manipulates and uses loving people. So it's kind of like they went over to the dark side, right? And we have to see the truth that everyone in their free will, and maybe it's one third, because we do have duality, and some people choose to build a foundation, learning lessons, growing up, trying to mature themselves, get out of their fear and insecurity, to make decisions more from hope and faith and belief and love in themselves, and temper their fears and their insecurities and listen to their intuition. And other people are like, no, if I were to listen to my intuition and do love, all that's going to do is lead to heartbreak or me getting hurt or me getting manipulated. So, or I'm just more caught up in things of the world. So that's what I make my life about. And then we have the people in between who haven't picked a path yet. In tarot, they kind of refer to it as your south node, that maybe for the first 30, 40 years of your life, going through these life experiences and learning lessons, that if people do kind of learn these lessons and listen to their intuition, if they really want to have true abundance, an abundant life where it's balanced in, when is enough enough? And does it have to be all about me? Do I need all the attention? Do I need all the money or whatever? What about a balance where I have enough of those things, and if I were to want to pursue more, I would have to sacrifice maybe more authentic, deep, meaningful relationships, loving relationships, and I'm not willing to do that. And there has to be when enough is enough. And the more we're kind of driven in our shadow nature, just like drugs or booze, if we make those the answer to our problems, it's really can take us down into hell. Well, money and ego and image, and it has to be all about themselves, does the same thing. And until they see the truth of it, and some people just haven't lived enough life experience to know these things, right? And some other people have. And some other people have gotten to be where, in my masculine nature, I'm going to stand up and defend my more emotionally loving, intuitive nature. Where before I could have more, oh, I love love and I love being loving to people, but I have to get to know people. I have to find out what drives and motivates them. I need to find out if they're balanced. Or are they tipped out of balance? Because if they're tipped out of balance and they think it's just and fair to be more about themselves or immature or bossy or controlling or manipulative, yeah, no, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. So we can go out in the world and we can treat other people the way we like to be treated in high vibe Pisces, high vibe Libra, high vibe Leo, high vibe Virgo. We can treat other people the way we like to be treated. We can be loving and encouraging like we do, and we can be to a general degree like you do in a workplace or social settings or whatever. Anything more than that, we'd have to work through all three of these things. I need to find out and get to know you, which could take a long time, to figure out what your truth is. Because I'm not going to, again, if I authentically invest in people with love, I'm an emotionally complex human being and I can have a lot of contradictory thoughts towards someone. And that's why when we get in relationships with people who are more deceptive and manipulative, it's really confusing and it really gets us up in our head because we do have all these contradicting thoughts and feelings towards people. We're emotionally complex. High vibe people have already been in those situations. They saw the truth, they dealt with the truth, they stood up for themselves and said, this needs to be just and fair or I'm leaving. And they did stand up for themselves. And it took a lot of work and effort. You know, high vibe Virgo and high vibe Capricorn and Taurus, it's putting in the work and effort. Maybe 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But I am determined to free myself emotionally from staying in my ego about people in my past who aren't treating me in a just and fair and authentic and loving way. And I will work through the mental confusion of it. I used to view them a certain way. Well, I need to deal with the truth because the truth sets me free emotionally. If people wanted to be more just and fair in a relationship with me right now, they'd be speaking the truth, taking action towards me and speaking the truth. But some people think, their mode of operating is like, oh, no, 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 I'm sure I can manipulate you. Yeah, you're not the type of person I want to be in a relationship with. It has to be my way or the highway. It's supposed to be more about me. Well, apparently your idea about relationships is a little tipped out of balance because you think it's supposed to be just more about you. And when you're working together with other people, you are supposed to work cooperatively together to bring a common dream into reality. We all had our ideas of how we thought life was going to go. And everybody has to compromise some. And some people, it can get to a point where it's like, well, then I would have to kind of put in work and effort to work through my own mental confusion or emotional confusion. I don't want to. I don't like that. So I just want to do it my way. It's like, okay, then you stay back here and you don't do it. Peace. Well, then I'd have to kind of look at life from a different perspective because Aquarius, represented by the star, I just thought it was more about the world. And I thought we should make our life more about those things. And I thought, that's why people get in relationships. That's why people stay in relationships. It looks just and fair. It looks stable. It looks grounded. I didn't think I really had to look at life from a higher perspective, that there's maybe more to being on this planet than just making our life about these things of the world. And for some of them, it's like, that's not my truth. You can go. I am more about the world. These are the things that drive and motivate me. I don't think there is a higher truth or justice to aspire to. I don't think there's any higher purpose for being on this planet. It's kind of about me and the image and the status and the money and indulgence. And I don't think there's any other point. It's like, okay, well, I do view life differently. So, I kind of see what people are emotionally investing their time, energy, and effort into. And every day they do that is another day I see that they're not the person I thought they were. And apparently my dream is different than their dream, and their idea of the dream life and the dream relationship and what they find emotionally fulfilling is different than what I do. And then it's like realizing my dream can come into reality with them anyway. And the whole thing is, we have our more shadowy, codependent, addictive, whatever, materialistic, whatever nature, right? There's people in the world that would seem like a perfect match for us if we were to stay in that energy. Because we have the option in our free will to manifest this path, that path, that path, that path, that path. We can manifest whatever we want. And there will be people who are kind of more on that page as us. and that we could have a lot of things in common. There's similar things we like to invest our time, energy, effort into that we find emotionally fulfilling in a lot of ways, just like, habits, hobbies, activities, and it's trying to find those people who kind of seem to be that right mix. If every Friday night you kind of would prefer to go do this, you're kind of looking for other people who like this certain genre of activity versus getting in a relationship that's totally like they're from another planet, right? And so it's just seeing that, well, if I'm motivated and inspired by truth and love and being a more authentic and warm and loving and self aware and self insightfulness, I need to be in relationships with people who are motivated by that. And so we work through all the mental confusion. And sometimes when you work through it and you're ready to move forward in life differently, then you could even realize, gee, there's probably some people in my world because in my free will, I chose to hang out with these people or date these people than other people. And now I could kind of wonder if maybe some of the people I didn't, it's just like if you had two job offers and you didn't take a job offer somewhere else and you took it somewhere else, and then it's like, shit, that didn't work. So then you're kind of wondering if maybe the one that you and the people you didn't choose to hang around more and invest more time and energy into were really more the people. And maybe you needed to go learn these lessons because that could have been kind of part of the reason. But, sometimes not. Sometimes it was being intuitive. We don't want to get caught up in illusion. But high vibe people get out of their ego and they're willing to communicate their truth to people. And just like you're doing that in the world and probably have done that, and to some of your friends and family, anybody else who you think, might be more on the same page as you, because you're not in your ego about it. I had lessons to learn. I could have viewed life a certain way. I could have lived life a certain way. I learned some valuable life lessons. It made me the person that I am. I've got more balance within myself. I've learned to stand up maybe for myself more. And then you communicate with people. And the thing is, with everybody else in the world, they could have been moving forward in their life in friendship groups and relationships. And it's just like, what? Well, I was moving forward with these people. But, then it can make them think, is the whole point I'm getting to, about why are they doing what they're doing? What about the people they're hanging out with? And I don't think high vibe people speak their truth from love, being authentic, and then they keep moving on, and then it's for those people to decide, the people in your life who are still willing to work together with you in like your friends and family members, that, well, I'm glad you learned that, honey. And I'm glad you did look at life differently. Do they have to agree with how you view life or live life now? Could they live their life different? Yeah. But they can still be people who treat you with justice and fairness and love. Do they have to agree with how you think and feel and live your life? Like they have to do it now? No. And are you going to go live your life the way they live their life? No. We can respect that. The high thing about high vibe relationships is you respect each other as individuals. You have your common area where you overlap, like we're family. But I realize in all that other area, well, we might not have anything in common. Brothers or sisters or even your parents or adult children, and you're going to go live your life. I'm going to go live my life. We can still be loving and respectful to each other. Could the way different people in our life kind of cause us some mental conflict? Yeah, but they're adults. You go live your life, and I guess if I feel I have a need to tell you, I'm concerned about you and I love you, and I just hope, you take care. And people could tell you that too. It's more of a problem when it's someone we really did want to have move forward with us and keep kind of working together with us and we didn't want them to turn their back, and we're confused maybe why they are. And but if we spoke our truth in love, because we felt someone was being kind of deceptive or manipulative or not really putting in work and effort, kind of wanting to maybe be indulged in the relationship in some way, it's like, if you're not motivated and inspired to keep putting in work and effort into, I was, but, both people have to want to be putting in work and effort. Is this your truth? Do you want to keep working on this or do you not? And if you don't, I'm not going to, I'm going to, after a while, you kind of like wish them peace and you kind of move on. And I guess if you want to reach out to me, you will reach out to me. And if you don't, then I guess a relationship or a friendship or whatever just kind of faded into kind of living separate lives, right? So just like some of you could be doing this, thinking about who are the people in your life who might have ulterior purposes as to why they want to hang out with you, be your friend, date you, stay in a relationship with you, or for you to stay at that job. And who are the people that you feel are really being more inspired, authentic, putting in work and effort to bring a dream into reality? Who are the people who might want to come with, but they kind of want to coast and kind of look the part, but not really put in the work and effort? Just like you could be doing that in your life, other people are doing that in your life. And then we listen to our intuition. We work through the confusion. I don't want to live a life of illusion. I don't like people deceiving and manipulating me. I know that there's some people I know in the world who are right now trying to create the illusion they're high vibe people. I already saw the truth of them, and they're kind of moving forward trying to manipulate someone else and create their illusion. And that's for that person to learn lessons from. And the next people they're in friendships, relationships, or jobs with could now be in that same situation like I had been. Do I want to stay at this job? These people are not who they said they were, or these people aren't who they said they were, and, for the people who don't want to deal with the truth, if they keep trying to get more emotionally mature, stable, grounded, authentic, loving people to get in a relationship with them, I think they're going to have a hard go of it, because you can stay in those situations for a long time, but it's so unemotionally fulfilling because it's not, the other person isn't authentically being loving. It looks like love, it quacks like love, it talks like love, but you don't feel love. That eventually some high vibe people probably work through it and they just can't stay in the illusion anymore. And then the shadowy people might go try to manipulate again, and they don't see that it's probably not going to work out. If they're more about themselves or more about ego or image or status, they should go get in relationships with people who are more like that. Let's go look at the bottom row. We have two cards not showing themselves, and the only cards showing are the mice card, which says the second house, which is Taurus energy. Oops. I am very sure that is, let's see, Aries, Taurus, yep. And Taurus energy has to do with our philosophy of life. And shadowy Taurus can be where people, I want to have what other people have. And I want to be viewed a certain way. And I want to have a certain status and image. But I don't think I really have to put in the work and effort that some other people put into it. Again, because some people could think they're so smart that I can kind of manipulate people, and a lot of people don't want to stand up for themselves. A lot of people, even if I am kind of lazy at work or kind of bossy or kind of immature, or I do these things in a friendship or relationship, most people don't want to deal with the truth, so I just get to keep sliding by. And it kind of eats away, is what the mice card kind of talks about, kind of eats away at a foundation, because they're looking like I am this certain type of person, but they're not. And they don't put in the work and effort that someone really who is kind of motivated and inspired to work in that job, enjoys that job, enjoys relationships, is loving. They have a completely different energy that encourages other people. I mean, again, you can't change people, but when you have someone who is more who they say they are, authentic, puts in work and effort, is balanced, is just and fair, it can really definitely kind of shine a spotlight on kind of the other people who aren't in that energy, which could be a bad thing for the shadowy people. And then we have the seduction card, emotionally hoping to manipulate people for your own selfish reasons. Oh, I don't think they'll fire me. Oh, I don't think this person, or they don't want to try to find a new employee. And just like people do that in relationships. Oh, they don't want to go try to find a new friend. Oh, they don't want to go get in a new relationship. And the thing is, if people are already immature, self-centered, egotistical, controlling, whatever, it is like it's kind of the game. And it's probably a false sense of empowerment. High vibe people feel empowered and proud of themselves, harnessing high vibe Taurus energy. I am putting in work and effort to move this forward and to be loving and encouraging, and I feel proud of myself. And the other people kind of get a false sense of pride and empowerment from feeling like they're cheating the system. Let's go look at this card. The Sun in reverse. The way I interpret it, when the cards aren't showing themselves in the bottom row, they're hiding the fact that they've probably already had high vibe people leave their life. We have the Sun and the Star. High vibe Leo, high vibe Aquarius. They've already had loving, encouraging, supportive people who did put work and effort with them. It was basically, for people who don't want to do love, that's not my truth. I get hurt. That is the danger zone. Another thing about a shadowy Taurus relationship, which anyone is your philosophy of relationships, is a shadowy relationship isn't just and fair. A high vibe relationship is just and fair. You treat other people the way you want to be treated. And you're authentic and you're loving and you're not trying to manipulate and control people. A shadowy Taurus relationship is, well, whoever seems to have more power or more of these things of the world that people could want, those people have more power. Well, if some people have been in relationships with people who they could have loved at one point in time, that were bossy and controlling and deceptive and manipulative, now some of those people don't trust loving people, which is too bad, because they're not listening to their intuition to see the difference between people. Is that what drives and motivates them? I know that's what drove and motivated them. But not everybody's the same, right? And we have to be willing to listen to our intuition about who's who. But if they within themselves have a way of viewing life that whoever seems to be the one, and they could sometimes have, maybe they have money, maybe they have status, maybe they have social clout, maybe they're more outgoing, maybe they're attractive, they think they can use those things to manipulate and control someone. But love is the highest energy and vibration of all. And they could be afraid that some of the loving people in their life would abuse their power in a relationship. Well, high vibe relationships are that you love someone, and because you don't harness shadowy character and integrity, and you temper your more egoic nature, because you do want a dream to come into reality, that, it's just like high vibe people, they don't even have the intention. It's like they just don't even think like that, you know? But the people who do kind of think like that certainly think other people could think like that. It's like, it is like their brain and how they operate is like having grown up on a different planet. And so some of them, it's kind of like it was tempting for them to maybe do it, but they are kind of more manipulated by their more self-protective and egoic nature. And then I think, we all come into each other's lives to expand our perception of ourselves and the world around us and what we believe is possible. And it's kind of hard if you've worked at a job where people were really loving and encouraging and supportive, but someone tempted you with more of these things of the world, and so you went to go there, and then you find out that, oh my gosh, these people, I feel like they're eating my soul. Or they're petty, or they're envious, or they're jealous, or they're controlling, or immature. That's when it is this thing of when is enough enough. And sometimes to appreciate and stand up and defend the things and the people in our life who are loving and encouraging. And there can be some people in a relationship or at a job, I guess, or friendship, where they are in high vibe environments, but they could be tempted to want to be more about themselves, be more bossy and controlling, and you can reject the truth. You can be more about yourself. And it actually gets to a point when you've kind of gone through some of these things, the truth sets us free, and sometimes we weren't wanting to see the truth. And so then we might come to find out the truth some way or another. And it was all trying to get us to see what was hidden. And what could have been hidden was that they're used to people maybe indulging them, and they thought you would kind of keep indulging them, and they didn't think the relationship would get to be where it would have to maybe be more just and fair, and where they would have to grow up and mature themselves, or they were hiding their truth is that, and again, people can be in relationships for a long time, and you can work through all these other different things, but then when it really gets down to what is your truth about, are you just more inspired by love or the world? And some of them didn't know either. Some of them found out, and the relationship ended, and now, when you try to go back to an old way of living life, when you've been exposed to different, it can be hard. It's just like people could go live their life and they're 35 or 45 years old. And then it's like, oh my gosh, but I never got to go out and effing party when I was 21 to 25. And they want to go out and do that. It just doesn't have the same luster and appeal to kind of go back. And some people, though, could be too prideful and stubborn to admit that they made a mistake. Again, we have to be willing to get out of our ego to learn lessons in life. And there's other people in the world, hey, wait a minute, I could have, sometimes in tarot they talk about how it's kind of this spiral, and I really got into stock investing back during the stock market crash. Years ago, back in whatever year that was, 2010, and Fibonacci ratios and all that stuff. And it is this thing of the 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward. We can always go back to kind of touch a point in our life to see if, is that changed? Hasn't it changed? Would I like to go back and live my life still? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have moved forward in the way that I did. And we could find out, oh, I was moving forward and I could have made too hasty of a decision. Maybe I wasn't seeing things clearly. Maybe my judgment was clouded. And then we could kind of regroup. Or we realized, nope, I was right. I need to keep moving forward. So the whole thing is everybody's going to make their decisions. More high vibrational people are willing to deal with the truth. They're willing to speak the truth, willing to take action on truth. Some other people, the sun, like the Leo card, some people don't want to illuminate the truth. Nope, I want to keep the truth hidden. Could I feel like I missed out on a golden opportunity? Maybe because of my ego or whatever, or my immature nature, and I had some lessons learned. Yeah, and I'm not willing to admit I made a mistake. So I'm just going to keep moving forward in life the way it is. And I don't know. What's so wrong with, I mean, you don't have to tell everybody, but if you're trying to build a relationship with someone new, can't you tell that person? I don't know what's so wrong. I think we all can relate. We've all been more immature, more whatever, but some people will keep not wanting to illuminate the truth because they keep getting manipulated by their ego. And I think other people do listen to their intuition and they can tell that some people aren't telling the truth. And that alone can be make some people distance themselves from some people. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy, who are speaking their truth? I do not want to move forward in my life, who are more deceptive or manipulative, or I don't want to live my life that way. The Ten of Swords. Why? Because of the world. Wow, that's interesting. Because the World card talks about closing out an old chapter of life, learning the lesson you're meant to learn there, so you can move to the next phase of life. And the Ten of Swords can be about completing a cycle too, because there is a maximum of 10 in every suit. And when you work through, and then with this card being like the Seven of Swords and going to the 10, it's working through that last Three of Swords. What is my truth? What is other people's truth? Have I been staying in denial of the truth? Are other people wanting to stay in denial of the truth? Have I been listening to my intuition, or have I been ignoring my intuition? Am I balanced within myself? Am I out of balance? What about the people I'm in a relationship with? Who's trying to make me live more from my mind than my heart? Who encourages me to love and believe in myself, to listen to my intuition, because my life is different than other people's life, and what's right for me isn't right for you. Things I would do, you wouldn't do. Things you would do, I wouldn't do. We all are on our own journey of learning these lessons, And so some high vibe people are no longer more caught up in the world. And they're not going to stay in situations where they feel like they're backstabbing themselves or they're being backstabbed, and they've completed a cycle and worked through all the mental confusion of it to have a brand new beginning. And then the main female is holding a sword. The King of Swords typically is a sword. And it could have been just getting out of being more inspired by things of the world and being more inspired to live our more authentic life emotionally and get out of, oh, but I have to have this and I need that. And what about this and what about that? It's like, as a human being just on my own, I have so amazing. I love Google and I love libraries that, all the things that you can learn, and there too, I think high vibe people, if the only people kind of in their environment right now are kind of more shadowy people that aren't on the same page as them, some people are like, no, I'm not going to get in a relationship with those people. I'm not going to get in a relationship just to get in a relationship out of lust or greed or pride or ego. I don't want to get myself emotionally entangled in something that I shouldn't get in to begin with. I want to be available when someone who seems to be a counterpart to me, I meet them. And then I can go get in a relationship with them. Otherwise, I'm going to get caught up in something, which some people might be in right now. And then it's like, oh shit, am I willing to speak my truth? How do I get myself out of this when I maybe shouldn't have gotten into it to begin with? And we got to go through that whole thing of, what will people think of me? And people view me a certain way. We can all get in our ego. And high vibe people are like, I don't want to act in a way that's just going to backstab me because I've already lived my life backstabbing myself. I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm not willing to indulge other people being more bossy and controlling and manipulative. Have done that. I will go enjoy my life with the people in the world who want to work together with me in a just and fair way. And the people who don't, I wish you peace, but I'm closing out a cycle. Again, we can only kind of wait so long for other people to work through their issues to decide if they're coming with or not. And if they're not doing that work, well, then they're apparently investing their time, energy, and effort towards other things, and I need to accept the truth of it. And then it frees me emotionally to go on my new journey. So what's coming up for some people, and I think as you're doing that and you're moving forward in that way, some other people in the world are doing that, and other people who did the same shadowy work as you, like, oh, but then I'd have to give up a dream, but this person kind of eats away at my foundation, or if it's not someone else, my own fear, my own insecurity, and my own more codependent or lustful, greedy nature. And I'm going to stand up to my own shadow nature and love and believe in myself. And then when I do that within myself, I'm kind of standing up energetically to other people in the world that I could be in relationship with if I were in those more shadowy energies. It's like, sorry, I'm not doing that anymore. This is how I'm moving forward. And then I see other people then. Could be people you don't know. It could be people who see you or know you, that they're seeing you doing that. And then it can make them wonder whether they're male or female. Why do I do what I do? Why am I not doing that? Why am I staying somewhere where I feel like I'm being deceived and manipulated, and people using my loving nature to try to control and manipulate me? That's not love. I don't want to be in relationships with people who do that. And I have to kind of quit getting seduced by my own more worldly, egoic nature, and that I wanted a dream to come into reality, to work through all of that, speak my truth, how I want to move forward. And if that's not how they choose to do it, then they weren't willing to do it anyway. So what's coming up, though, for some people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Pisces, which could just be they haven't learned to love themselves, don't look at life from a higher perspective. They could get more caught up in their head, try to rationalize things, maybe try to be practical, could be really concerned about how people would view them, or keep thinking if they put in work and effort, could love someone, and just think, no, I'm sure they're going to change. And the other people are like, yep, that works for me. You keep thinking I'm going to change. Haven't changed yet. But as long as you're caught up in the illusion, it works for me. So what's coming up for some people who harness some more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy that they might not see coming? Oh, another way this can be interpreted that people don't see coming. You can be a loving and encouraging person to people, and the people who wanted you to keep doing that, because that works for them, and that's what they were counting on. Some of those people do not like that you saw through the illusion, and you're not willing to play out the plan the way they had it planned. And because you kind of saw through the illusion of them, and you're standing up for yourself, basically saying, I don't think you're being just and fair, some of those people will lie about the situation And some of those people will backstab and betray you, because if what they have to offer people isn't truth and love, it is more their status and their ego and their image that they have. And they don't want people to view you as a loving person. That you are the bossy person, you are the controlling person, you are the egotistical person, you are the shadowy person. And that, is also extra really confusing. That people you are putting in so much work and effort with, trying to be understanding, trying to be loving and encouraging. And that's where it backstabs us in the end anyway. If they wanted to be that type of person, they would be. And they're counting on you not standing up for yourself and letting them continuing to get away with it. And for some of those people, it was all about them anyway. And they really don't give a damn. And if someone sees through the illusion, well, then you're no good for me. And it's to totally backstab you. So then they can have a lot of inner conflict, is what the mice can talk about. That someone who's very loving and nurturing and supportive and that they could be attracted to saw the truth of who they are. And now the only way some of these people could be reconciled with you is if they were to reveal the truth to the world. And for most of them, they're not willing to do that. Now, other people in your life who just might be a little more prideful and egotistical in a way that you didn't choose to be in a relationship with them or got out of a relationship with them at some time, or some of those people, would be willing to, because they're not as entrenched in their ego as some other people. But you have to be careful, because there's always other people who just want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you. And I think you'll tell your truth to people and stand up. I'm not repeating that old pattern of relationship. If you have not been illuminated to the truth that relationships are supposed to be on love. If you want to be in a relationship to indulge yourself in it, then go find someone else. If you want to get in a relationship and it's supposed to be more about you, go find someone else. If you want to be in a relationship where you're bossy and controlling and whatever, go find someone else. And there's other people who have been in relationships with more shadowy people, and their intuition is telling them to listen to their intuition and align with other high vibrational people like yourself. And you just need to get to know people, listen to your intuition, maintain balance within yourself to differentiate between who's who. So what's coming up? The shadowy people have the idea, I can just go seduce someone else who has mental conflict. Because maybe some new beginning dream or something that they had been in at once upon a time didn't work out, and they feel backstabbed. I'm going to go be that next person who tries to go manipulate them. Because that's how some people operate in the world. I don't want to do love, but I'll talk like love. I'll quack like love. I'll act like love. But it's all to backstab someone else, to look like I'm more healed and mature than I am, make it look like I've moved on, that I've changed, but I haven't changed at all. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got the Queen of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles, the King of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, the Tower, the King of Cups, the Fool, and the Seven of Cups. And the reason this came out is because of the Karma card, which is like the Judgment card. Because the shadowy people keep refusing to, in the Tower card, detach from this more shadowy way of living life, to align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature, to do love, to take a leap of faith, be in a deep, meaningful relationship. They have the free will in the Karma, which is like the Judgment card, to say, nope, not going to do that. I'm going to let that go. Instead, I'm going to keep repeating this old pattern, doing life the way I've done it, not gonna budge. Living more from my mind than my heart, emotionally investing in living more from my mind than my heart, being practical and logical. I want these things of the world. If I have these things of the world, I'll be happy. But if they have some loving, intuitive people in their life, what they don't see coming is that, other loving people in their life, whether they're friends or family members, for a long time, they could have been emotionally nurturing and loving to these people. But when they keep seem to not be growing and healing and maturing themselves, kind of seem to not being truthful, kind of not, being who they say they are, acting with more character and integrity, might seem to be indulging themselves more, that eventually some of the high vibe people in their life are done. And they see through the illusion. And that's them facing judgment. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And when these people initially like, oh no, those people are bad, and no, don't hang out with those people. And they're like, really? Because I thought this all seemed just and fair, and I thought we were all moving forward this way. It's like, oh, no, I decided, no, there's things you don't know. They're awful. Don't do them. Come over here and align with me. And so some of those people, instead of listening to their intuition, they kind of indulge this person in their poor behavior. And this person thought they had those people tricked. But again, you keep repeating certain patterns over and over of like probably presenting yourself as loving to people that you could get in long-term stable relationships or jobs with. But then because they always kind of take these foolish actions instead of more listening to their intuition, and from the 1 cup to the 7 of cups, unwilling to do the 6 of cups and do a more deep, meaningful relationship and do more equal give and take in a relationship, the relationships blow up on them. It's like, oh my gosh, you had another job, friendship, relationship that it seemed like you were in relationships with perfectly lovely people. What the hell happened? Oh, no, don't believe those people. No. I'm like the injured party, and you should nurture me and indulge me. And some of those people have done that many times, and eventually they're like, you know what? You seem to have enough practice at this that I think you can. I'm just going to go continue living my life. Oh, another relationship or job blew up on you. Sorry to hear that. And then they're going to go on their way. And sometimes shadowy people, kind of like the attention. They like people focused on them. Sometimes it's the poor, pitiful me card. And if some of those people have people in their life right now that would want to be in a relationship, eventually, if these people, because they keep repeating an old pattern, because they have not learned the lesson they were meant to learn. And they think, no, I can just go to the next job or the next friend or the next relationship. But they have these ways of being and kind of, again, using their emotions or their sexuality or their looks or their charm or their money to try to manipulate people to keep staying in a relationship with them. And they're not being more authentic. And the dream never really comes into reality. And eventually other people see the truth of it. And shadowy can be, I think you might want to be in a relationship, but I don't think it's because of love. You even might want to get married, but I don't think it's because of love. I think it's more about your ego and your image, or to be able to indulge yourself in a relationship, but it's not really love. And then who they're going to end up in a relationship with is probably someone like themselves, because they're the people who are willing to keep staying in it with them. And that might be someone who's just in the relationship with them for whatever they can get out of it. If you're not in it for love, why are you in it? And then that maybe won't last, because if you're in it more for, well, the status or the ego or the image or the indulgence or the attention or to backstab someone else. If anyone else comes along that serves your purposes, you'll just go get in a relationship with that person because you're not even emotionally even invested in it. No skin off their nose. I don't have the emotionally complex feelings because I never emotionally invested in it to begin with. It was more about me and what I could get out of it. And then when it didn't work out, was that a bummer? Yeah. But, oh well, I'll just go get in a relationship with someone else. And the other people had to do this work to emotionally detach themselves. They didn't have a problem because they weren't doing love anyway. But I think as time goes by, they could have thought, oh, another loving person is like a dime a dozen. And, well, they haven't been growing up and maturing themselves. Other people have. And it gets harder and harder the older they get to be like a more immature person in a relationship because the other people that are like the same age as them aren't immature like that anymore. Things they would have put up with when they were younger is not stuff they're willing to put up with now. Male or female. I know me some immature women who keep trying to manipulate people into a relationship, and then it's like, oh my god, you are not wife material by any means, or that anybody, I don't know how anybody could even tolerate you. And men, I don't know how people get in a relationship with you and why, and why they stay for as long as they do. But, eventually it can be a relationship where no one's willing to make a decision to do love. And so then it's a relationship where, again, everybody in the seduction card is just trying to seduce and manipulate each other to get what they want. And it's not a foundation. There is no love. There's no passion. There's no creativity. There's no authenticity. In the King of Cups, the which is Cancer, the Aries that is fire, and the Seven of Cups in Scorpio, that's a deep, meaningful relationship. It's a more superficial relationship, more based on status and ego and image and manipulating each other for what you can get. But it is a just and fair relationship if they're both on that same page. I would rather have them all in a relationship with someone like themselves than trying to manipulate someone who they know does not live life and view life the way they do it, and they're trying to manipulate them to get them stuck in it with them. That's an injustice. And if for the people that, and basically God wants everybody to be free, can you live your life in hell? Yes, you have free will. But God wants everybody to be free to live a more abundant, feeling more abundant within yourself, feeling more happy within yourself, feeling more loving within yourself, being in more loving relationships. And so things will keep happening in that relationship to try to get the people to see the truth, because the tower is trying to illuminate people to the truth that everything kind of comes with a price. If you want to be a more emotionally mature person and act with character and integrity, there's certain things that you have to not be doing. And there's going to be certain people who won't want to be in friendship or relationship with you because you're on like a different page than them. And that's kind of the price you pay. And the people who do make their life more about some of these other things, they're sacrificing love, thinking you can plant bad seeds and grow that abundant harvest. No, that's not going to work. And thinking that people will keep viewing you as a more high vibrational person when they can see the truth as time goes by, that isn't the truth of who you are. And for some people that will be really difficult for them because their ego and their image and people viewing them a certain way was really important to them, but it really wasn't the truth of who they were. They act like they're a certain type of person, but that isn't the truth of who they are. And the truth eventually comes to light eventually, and people see the truth of who people really are. And while some people will feel are the ones in it who kind of feel manipulated and have all this go on in their life. Other people already had those kind of things go on in their life, and those people are moving on in a different phase of life. And we're all going through those different phases of life at different times. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.